So one of the big problems is, people are just not very experienced in this area. Everybody's super busy. So what tends to happen in an innovation program is there'll be some need. A board member will say, why don't you have any patents? An investor will say, why don't you have any patents? You may be thinking about a sale or being acquired or something like that, and that will cause an immediate need to have patents. The problem is you can't create patents overnight. It's the sort of thing that it just requires a certain discipline, constant attention to over time to develop a patent portfolio. What I found was that clients were very reactive and were dealing with the latest emergency, and unless they had a system that would track and remind and engage them, they would only engage when the emergencies happened because everybody's so busy. And all but the largest companies don't have staff that regularly think about them. So the thought is for those companies that are not large companies that have a patent attorney or 5 patent attorneys or 20 or 50 patent attorneys that's their job and they're thinking about it, is to have a Robo patent attorney so that all enterprise can be reminded of the value and the deadlines and the steps and the status. Because what typically will happen is if you're relying on outside counsel to do that, it's very expensive. You can, in essence, get a fractional employee by hiring a law firm, basically, to consult and provide that service to you. But, it's at hundreds of dollars per hour, when really, I believe software can do a better job than most people, present company excluded. But I think that counseling and that management and those reminders is a perfect thing for software to be able to fill the gap. Or go to your attorney and they will charge you thousands of dollars per quarter to do this sort of management.
And I believe many of them were not going to the attorney. So were they managing the same thing over Excel?
You can separate this biggest enterprise, they have full-time staff. And what they will typically do is gravitate toward docketing software, which is not really what they need, but that's what's available, is very complex docketing software that do 75 things, and they really only need 3 of those 75. So they're forced to buy this big package that their counsel has already purchased probably, but the licenses and the accessibility is not there. But really what all they want is status light and some ability to manage the process. So there's, a big gap in there in that they don't need this complex tool. So that's the big company problem. With the smaller company, they did nothing. They reacted to somebody, some emergency, somebody is threatening to sue them or an investor won't give them money. They're reacting in that way. The more sophisticated entrepreneurs who have been through this process before know that it's a necessary thing. And in a very small enterprise, you can manage that without much help if you've done it before. But most have not. So quite frankly, they often just ignore, even though it's so crucial. And the studies show that they're more likely to get funding, they're more likely to IPO, they're more likely to grow their products, they're more likely to grow their headcount if they pay attention. People ignore what they don't understand, and that's why I think it's a big reason why you see so many small companies fail.